Welcome to What's the Effort?
What the effort?
Hello, everyone.
Hi, everyone.
Welcome. Today, like every single day, actually, whenever I'm on, but particularly today, I have a very special guest, Cecilia Cossio. Thank you very much. Thank you very much for coming. I feel honored. Cecilia is in Gator, and she's also in multifamily with Vina. And I was surprised how many people didn't know her in Sub2. I was having some problems with posting, so I had other people posting for me, and I had a number of people saying, "Who is she?" I'm like, "You're going to have to come and find out." So I am grateful that I have the opportunity to introduce you to some people, and I would like very much to say again, thank you.
Thank you for having me. I'm honored to be here.
Okay. Now, we know each other from Gator. I think that's where we first met, right? Or was it with Vina?
No, it was Gator. I think the first time I saw you was at community camp, but the first time we actually spoke was because you mistaken me for somebody in the Gator group. So you messaged me in error, and that's how we started talking.
Okay. It sounds like me. That's funny. I would like for the group to know, a little bit about what you're doing. I know that you're super strong in fields and areas as real estate investors that are important to us. But before we get to that, I'd like to ask a little bit about your youth. Could you tell me, a little bit about your early years? Where did you grow up? What was the family structure like? Tell me about your basic roots.
Well, I grew up in Arlington, Texas, and was raised by my grandparents. So fortunate and blessed to have been raised by such wonderful people. My family, in we had family around all the time. My aunts, my uncles, my cousins. Um, as I was growing, I was a cheerleader. I was in softball. I did all the things that kids do. I had all the things that for the most part, that my friends had, and it wasn't until it was in my later years that I realized that, oh man, my grandparents really didn't have the money for me to do all this. I knew that there was challenges, like with financially, but I really didn't realize to the extent of those challenges that they had, because they always figured out how to make it happen for me. From having a car as a teenager to being able to wear the designer clothes. When you're a kid, you want to wear what everybody else is wearing.
Of course.
So, yeah, so I was really blessed to be able to grow in an environment where I, was empowered to really do well, whatever I set my mind to, whatever I said I wanted to do. Then it was really up to me to, make it happen. And that was something that my grandfather always put in my head, like, if you want it, you got to go after it. If you want it, you got to go do it. Nobody's going to hand it to you. Don't make any excuses. There's no reason why you can't do it if you just put in the effort. So
Now, was that your maternal or paternal grandparents?
maternal.
Maternal.
Yeah.
Okay, I'd like you to think back in about grade 3, 4, and 5
Hmm.
in there. What would your teachers, how would they have described you?
Strong-willed. Um,
That's good.
Opinionated.
Were you a troublemaker?
I don't know that I was a troublemaker. I definitely, I was raised with a bunch of uncles so I definitely was not a pushover. Um, but I was, I don't know that I was a troublemaker, but I definitely was not a pushover. So I would stand up for myself and defend those that couldn't stand up for themselves. So like I took karate when I was, in the fourth and fifth grade, and kung fu, and so like it was played sports. So I was a catcher.
You were
So
a what?
a catcher when I played softball.
Oh, nice. A
So
catcher.
I was, yeah. So, you don't realize all these things that these team sports do and how important they are. But you're at the head of the plate. You're leading the field. You're guiding and coaching and telling people what's happening out on the field as you're out there. So, yeah, it was just part of who I was from a very young age.
So from a young age, you were in leadership positions.
Yeah,
Good.
yeah.
Did you have siblings?
I do. I have six siblings.
What?
Yeah,
What?
and then I have nine aunts and uncles, and I was, um, my youngest aunt, my uncle, really more like my siblings as well because we grew up in the same household. So,
And your
um,
grandparents raised all six?
no, no, it's just me. I was a lucky one.
Oh, how unique. How unique.
Just kidding,
I only
Mom.
I hear you. Where were they?
They lived in San Antonio. So,
San
and they
Antonio.
were in my life. Like we were, my mom had me at a young age, so she stayed with my grandparents when I was young, and it just kind of happened to work out where when she ended up moving out, then I stayed behind with my grandparents. So, uh,
Probably provided for a good, stable
yeah,
environment. Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's nice. So
yeah.
then when you were in high school, you did cheerleading and such. Did you get involved in leadership positions beyond that? What were you thinking in high school?
In
Like
high
what
school, I played basketball and volleyball,
nice.
and so very competitive. And then I met my first husband, and that was in like the 10th grade. And this
Wow.
this is a story that not many people know, but I had a baby at 18. So yeah,
Whoa. Okay.
so
That
I
had to have been hard.
yes, well, it is what it is. You got to make the best of it, right? You make choices, you got to live with the consequences, and then you make the best of it because you can either cry about it or you can move forward and make the best of it. So I am so grateful because I had my baby girl. Her name was Bianca, and then went to the military. Well, my ex went to the military, so we lived in Germany for 3 years, and then Fort Hood, and had my son, my middle son. And so, living overseas as a young couple is really difficult. You're growing up away from your parents, and you have kids,
Yeah.
but it was a blessing in disguise. I took when people talk about they take these courses virtually. Well, when you live in Germany and you're taking college courses, they used to send us like VHS tapes.
Oh my God, you're dating yourself.
I know people are gonna be
Yeah,
like, "What's VHS?"
yeah, yeah, yeah. Hey, listen. When I was doing that, they didn't even have VHS tapes. They sent everything in paper through the mail, and you got it. And there was an outline. Do this first, do that second, do this, and I was like, this person's organized. I can follow it. Or what is this person doing?
Right.
That's hysterical. Oh,
Yeah.
that's so funny. So you were working towards your education in Germany. What were
Yes.
you pursuing? What caught your interest?
I was actually planning on being a teacher. So
Me too.
yeah. So then we moved to Fort Hood, and that's actually where I got my first job in the real estate field. I got a job across the street from the apartment community that we were living at because I was going to school at Fort Hood, and then I was also, um, needing some money. So there was a sign out in the front of this apartment complex that said leasing agent needed. So I can do that.
Leasing agent. You're like,
Hmm.
I'm sure I can do it. I just have to find out what it is first.
Right. So I went across the street, and the gentleman that was there was desperate for help, and so I got the job as a part-time leasing agent. And so when that happened, I I ended up having a new manager come in, and the owner lived in Sherman, so this is like 6 hours away from each other.
Okay.
And so this new manager started, and within like a month of her being there, she kind of went absent.
Oh,
And we were getting phone calls about work order issues and problems. So the military is going to blacklist us from their housing list, which would have been really bad.
oof.
Yeah. So I started just kind of dealing with issues, and talking to the team, the maintenance team that was there, and telling them we need this done, we need that done. People would walk in, I would lease the apartments, and I was dealing with the military. And so about a month into that, the owner calls and says, "Hey, we're so and so, and she's not here." Well, okay. When was she last there? And I'm like, "I don't know." And he's like, "Well, why haven't you said anything?" Well, because that's not my job. My job
Yeah.
is to
Yeah.
lease.
Wait a minute. Where does it say think?
Right. Take care of things. And he's like, "So you've been running the property?" And I'm like, "Well, yeah." And he's like, "Well, how do you make that happen? And how do you know what to do?" I said, "Well, you read the contracts and you just figure it out." It's not really rocket science. You do the right thing, right? Somebody has to do it. Nobody was there. And so
How old were you then, Cecilia?
I was like 23.
Nice.
Yeah, 23. So
So you had stepped up, even though no one asked you to, and you didn't even tell them that you were doing the work.
yeah, well, it's your job. You're at a job, and I was hired to work on the property and take care of any problem. In my mind, I mean, nobody really said that. They said you're leasing apartments, but nobody's there. So my job is to like do what needs to get done. I'm not going to let people suffer, work orders not get done, or not go put money in the bank. I didn't really understand the whole concept of everything, but I knew that if we received money, it needed to go in the bank somewhere. So I just remember, because that's what he said. "Oh, how did you know what bank to go to?" Well, I looked at the deposit ticket in the desk, and it said the name of the bank, so I drove over there.
Well, it's a good thing it didn't say your bank and your account.
Oh, no, that would not be, no. Yeah.
That's so funny. Well, that's awesome. That's awesome. So you started right away. More than a leasing agent, you really were starting to manage the property.
Yes, yeah. So I started, I just took over. He ended up coming down and giving me some tasks that was out of the Red Book, and the Red Book is Texas landlord law, is what it is. So, and I remember scoring like a 90 something in there. And he's like, "Well, how did you know all these answers?" I said, "Because I read the contracts and I saw the Red Book on top of the filing cabinet. So I opened it up and I figured out that everything in red was a commentary about the law. So it was like a summary of the law. So you just kind of
Nice.
going through it, and can't go wrong if it's in there. You could tell it was Texas landlord law. It was like section such and such and such Texas. So just kind of figured it out and went from there. So yeah, so that's kind of where it all started.
What happened with the person that wasn't there?
She figured out when he was there one day. He immediately came down, and then she figured out this was not going to work for her. I don't really remember all the details, but
So did he just promote you into her position, or did he bring in someone else? Or
no, he came down and gave me that test, and then he promoted me. So I became the property manager.
wow, that's what you call initiative, right? Just
Yeah,
taking the initiative and figuring things out and getting it done.
getting it done.
Now,
Yeah.
as someone who has just purchased her first asset, I'm a little nervous. I've just hired a property manager, and I hope she's going to be fantastic. But you get a little nervous, because
Mhm.
because of look what happened with the woman that he hired.
Mhm.
And when you find someone that is going to figure things out and do the right thing, obviously it's going to be right for you also, for the property, for the people, for the management. That must have been a real boost for you, both in, you know, entering the real world and also financially. And did it make you change where you were going because you had started on education? Did you decide maybe I'll go with, with real estate?
Well, I continued the education path, still going to school. But it was about 6 months later. It was like, okay, well, this is getting a little tougher. My ex was deployed to, I don't even remember where. It wasn't like to war or anything like that, but like another state or something for some mission to support another mission. And so I was, alone with both of my kids for some time. So I couldn't do both. So I just focused on my career and my kids, and that's
Yeah. Yeah.
that's
Single parenthood really is challenging.
Mhm.
So you continued working for the property manager that was across from where you actually lived.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I
Right.
ended up moving on the property, and that was a whole different experience. But it
Moving
definitely,
on, like living there?
yeah, yeah. So we ended up going from like the apartment that we were living at, and we moved across the street to that apartment community.
Was it
And
part of your compensation?
yeah, it ended up being part of my compensation.
Nice,
So,
nice. So then you were right there, but at the
mhm.
same time, everybody knew you were right there.
Yes, yeah.
How big was it?
It was probably 250 units, 230
Holy
units.
camolie! I didn't
Yep.
imagine it that big.
Yeah.
Good for
Alora
you.
Way. It was my first one. It was called Alora Way Apartments.
Love it. Love it. So you moved in, and was it just you, or did you get to hire someone? Because initially he had hired somebody else and you. So
Yeah, I hired an assistant, or leasing. We were like assistant leasing agents. So yeah, hired somebody to come in.
that must have been
And
nice.
yeah, it was. She was a military wife as well, and she was there most of the time that I was there. So I was there for like 3 years, and then they ended up selling the property to a company out of Dallas, and I joined that company and then ended up moving to Dallas. He became an officer with the Dallas Police Department. So we ended up relocating to Dallas. He got
Your
out of the
husband?
military. My ex husband, yeah. He got out of the military. We relocated to Dallas. And this is where our family's at anyway. So,
Okay.
um,
So when you did saw that they were selling it, did you get any insight in that, or were you like quite a distance? Because
no,
as an
it,
asset manager, that's one of the things that somehow you're supposed to learn.
yeah. The things that I learned to do most of what I'm doing now from an asset management standpoint was a lot later in my career. What I learned at the very beginning, and I'll have to tell you the story about how this has come full circle. I learned for property management, so it really was about relationships and leadership and strategy, and it was part of, I believe, what I had learned earlier in my earlier years. When you're a catcher, you're looking at the game and you're looking at what's going on, and where's the play going to be made, calling it out to your team members. So I think that was where it all started for me. And probably at a younger age, right? Because I was always the boss of all my cousins and telling them what to do. So,
I love it. I love it. Wow. Okay, so that was at the very beginning, right?
yeah, yeah, that was the
And
very beginning.
when you went to Dallas, how much further did it go? Did you go to work for the company that had bought the building?
I did, yes. I worked for them for about 7 years,
Wow,
and
that says
yeah,
so much about you.
yeah. And then I got an opportunity to work as a district manager with a different company. So I joined that company, Concord Management, and they were out of Florida. So I joined them, and I was with them for almost 10 years.
What
And
does it mean to be a district manager?
It
Sorry
is.
to sound
It means
dumb.
you have multiple assets. So I started out with 4 assets, and then they quickly realized that I could take on a lot more. So I got the whole state. There was like 8 assets that I immediately got under my belt
In Texas?
in Texas. Yeah. And so then the assets, we had to reposition them. And basically, what that means is this was in 2006, 7, and 8. And part of these were affordable assets. So at that time, the affordable rents were very comparable to conventional market rents, except for on the affordable properties, there was a lot more paperwork that had to be done.
Is affordable housing, is that like Section 8? I'm sorry to be
It's
ignorant, but I want to
no, no, no. That's fine. Absolutely. It is not Section 8. It is these assets were based on a tax credit program.
Is that a
So
federal program?
I'm sorry.
Is that a federal program?
It is well, it's governed by the IRS, but the tax credits are issued by the state.
Okay.
So those the properties had to be repositioned, and so we lease them up and put strong teams in place, and just built a real strong core group of team members throughout Texas.
How
And
big was the team?
Well, the average property was about 250 units. So I would have anywhere from 4 to 6 people, depending on the amount of acres the property would sit on. So, if you're sitting on a lot more acres, then it requires, a lot more trash pickup. So
I see.
yeah,
I see. Interesting.
yeah,
So 4 to 6 people per 250 unit building,
yeah, on average.
depending on
Yeah.
the land. And how many did you say you had altogether?
I had 8. 8
Wow.
properties.
Okay.
Mhm.
So you were dealing with anywhere from 30 to 50 people.
Yes. Yeah. So, and it was
Good for you. I think that's awesome.
well, yeah, it's I guess, and that's kind of you don't. I've always been the type that you just do what you do, right? I never really thought about it in terms of if I have 6 an average of 3 people per apartment, and I have 200 units that I'm going to have 600 residents there, and 6,000 people across the state. Like, you don't really look at it that way at
Right.
that. But it is definitely a big responsibility. So
I'll bet. I'll
yeah,
bet you must have learned an awful lot at that point.
I had some great mentors. Yes, I'm still learning today. I learn every day is a learning day.
Yeah. Well, that's if you stop growing, you know what happens.
Yeah.
You
Yep.
start shrinking.
Yeah.
So absolutely. So how long were you with them, the company in Dallas?
Well, the company in Dallas I was with for 7 years. That when I switched and made the transfer got the promotion to district manager, that was almost 10 years. And what happened with them is we ended up selling our Texas portfolio, and I was given an opportunity to take over the East Coast initially it was just Georgia, because their Georgia assets were struggling. So there was about 12 assets in Georgia at the time. And so I took over those assets, and then they quickly realized, well, you know what? She can just take over the East Coast. So I got everything from New York down to Jacksonville, Florida. And then I ended up getting 2 more properties in Destin and Fort Walton, which was wonderful, right? Because like those are my favorite places. Like my kids love the area. And so
Did you have to move there?
I had to move. My older kids, my daughter had already gone off to college, and my son had graduated and went off to the military. And then I had just had another child. I had my 3rd baby.
Boy or girl?
Boy. So I have a daughter and 2 boys. So
nice.
Yeah. Yes, they are
And
my
what grade
why.
was
They are
he
my
in?
reason. They are my everything.
Yeah,
So
yeah, I get it. I get it. What grade was he in when you had to move to Georgia?
he was 3 years old.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
Yeah.
they're very flexible then.
Oh
You
yeah.
don't have a lot of complaints.
Right. So when I moved to Georgia, I was there for about 4 years, and really my goal there was to put strong teams in place, get everybody trained, and started the disposition process on some of those assets. So we started by first we sold off the New York site, one of the New York sites, and at that point my daughter had my grandbaby, and so I was like, okay, well, I love you guys, but and I did. I absolutely love Concord Management. It was one of the best companies that I worked for because they provided so much training, so much. It was just incredible what they were able to do for their employees. And so we ended up coming back to Texas. So
You view Texas as home.
yes, Texas is home.
Interesting. Did that mean you had to go part ways with that company, or?
I did because they had sold off all their Texas assets, and the company worked closely with an institution, and so that institution had a couple of asset managers that I had been working with in the disposition of the Texas portfolio. So I ended up, I actually ended up coming to work for the guy or the company that purchased our Texas portfolio to stabilize the properties. And I said, I will give you 1 year. And in 9 months, the properties were stabilized. So I said, all right, I'm out. Like that was a pathway for me to get back to Texas. And that's when my contacts with the institution that had been partners with Concord Management found out that I was looking and I was available. And so then I went to go work for Allied Orion Group, and they're another great company.
Now, tell me a little bit. Did you say Allied?
Allied Orion, yeah.
And what is that? I'm sorry, I don't know.
It's another management company.
It's another
So
management
yeah,
company. I got it. So then, am I correct in thinking that when you're talking about multifamily like that, and you've got, larger assets, they're run by large organizations normally?
not necessarily larger organizations. It just happened to be that, Concord Management, I believe, had like over 30,000 units at one time. And then like Allied Orion, when I came back to Texas, they were probably at about 20,000, 22,000 units. And Allied Orion is a third party management group where Concord Management owner managed the majority of their stuff. We had some fee managed, but most of it was owner managed. So what third party means is we actually manage it for others. So
Got
that yeah. So, and I got that position because of the relationship and the credibility I built with these two asset managers with that institution that was partners with Concord Management. So I was a regional vice president or senior vice president. I don't even remember the title. With
I love it.
with Allied Orion Group, and when I initially started with them, I had 4 assets here in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. And of course, then I quickly realized that I could just take on more assets.
Yeah. I don't know if it's a curse or a blessing when they figure that out.
You know what? It's a blessing because it gave me the opportunity to really deal with all different types of assets. So I had everything from the Dallas-Fort Worth area down the 35 corridor to San Antonio. So everything that we managed, it was under my portfolio. So
How much did they vary? What sort of tell us?
they were new development, A properties to affordable sites, everything in between.
So you
So
kept your fingers or your hands in affordable. Affordable seemed to stay with you.
it's part of my heart, it is. I can, to me, the new construction A properties and affordable, you have a different demographic, but here's what I always say. It's the basics of property management. It's about relationships. It's about people. It's about putting the right people in place. It's about providing a home to people, and whether they pay $5 or $5,000, you treat them all with respect and with care and with love, and you are responsible for the care of their home, and it's personal to them because it is their home. It is what they put most of their money into.
Right.
So they've chosen to live on our property, whether it's out of necessity or desire. This is where they're at, and it's our responsibility to take care of it. And not always perfect, but if we give our best, then that's what we're supposed to do.
Yeah, and I think if you do it that way, then if they're being irresponsible or not good, you have something to say. Wait a minute, because I had been somewhat biased because I was just small-minded and stupid about Section 8. I figured, Section 8, that means you're always dealing with difficult situations. They're going to ruin the property, this, that, and the other thing. And then when I met someone here in Chicago who does just Section 8, he sat me down and he talked to me a little bit about, pride of ownership within Section 8.
Right.
And the way he described it, I was like, oh, that's interesting, because they don't call it Section 8 in Canada. But in Vancouver, where I grew up, there were tenements that people would wait in line for years to get in because they were protected as lower income, and the pride. I mean, they always were great tenants. They loved their homes, and people wanted to be in those communities. So it was interesting to me. I was like, oh, why did I think it'd be so different? And it was just like, because I'm stupid, but that's okay. Now I'm more enlightened. But I think that's pretty awesome that you have that responsibility to treat them the same way. Doesn't matter whether it's $5,000 a month or whether it's $5 a month. And the person who pays $5,000 can be destructive to property equally. It depends on the people. So
I have student
I
properties.
understand it's got to do with how you treat them and the property.
Yeah, it really doesn't matter. It's between my student properties and my there's a lot of background noise. Do you hear that?
A little bit.
Okay. I think it
Did you say student properties?
Yeah, student. Yeah. So I didn't mention that I have student properties as well.
Undergrad or grad?
Whoever, whoever chooses to live there and qualifies to live there.
Got it. Interesting. Do you have other areas where they're, kind of specialized?
I mean,
students, that's one group.
You've got the students. I have senior properties. I have, your standard family garden style properties. I have your. I don't have any high rises anymore. So that went off.
That's so funny. I don't have any high rises anymore.
Well, it's one of those things where that's probably an area that I had to really step back and take a good look at myself. Wow, this is I really do have a vast array of experiences under my belt. And when you just go and you go and you go, you do it because that's what you're supposed to do, and you're working and you're doing your thing and you're working your. I've always had a couple of side businesses. My own having a W-2 and admin company or flips, whatever it was. So do things and you don't really recognize everything that you're doing at the time. And when you start looking back and saying, okay, well, I did this and I did that, and I have, start putting things in boxes, you're like, whoa, there is a lot of experience here. So that was a big aha moment for me.
For sure.
That was a big aha moment for me.
I'll bet. And bring us up to date as to how you got to where you are now. And I'd like you to share what your plans are.
Well, I left Orion. I got an opportunity to work for Marquee Asset Management as the president of the management company, and my job was to come in and put processes in place and just really change the dynamic of how things were being done. It was not a lot of technology being used, so I rolled out a lot of over and built some pretty strong teams, had some amazing regions, some property managers and maintenance guys. And so
Okay, I'm going to stop you for just hang on one second. Am I the only one? Please post if you're getting any feedback. If you have feedback coming to you, and please tell me if you have feedback coming to you from me and Cecilia, or just me, or just Cecilia.
I'm getting it.
I'm getting it.
You are?
I'm not getting it when
I'm
you're talking.
hearing
I'm
it.
getting it when I'm talking.
When you're talking, I'm getting it when I'm talking.
You don't happen to have two devices on, do you?
No.
No.
Okay, because sometimes that happens when you have, oh, that's unfortunate. It's sometimes happens if you have two devices on. So why are you muting yourself, hon? Now we won't hear you at all.
Oh, hold on a second. I was checking to see if, it's only one. I was checking to see if maybe there was another tab open, but
Okay, then I am going to suggest that you just speak a little bit slowly and as if I don't understand English.
okay.
In other words, enunciate and drag it out a bit, because this will be on the internet for a long time and your story is so incredible. I don't know what happens if I think StreamYard just produces what it gets, but
Right.
I'm going to suggest that you talk to us about marquee management. You were talking about putting processes in place.
Yeah.
And I apologize, I cut you off, but.
Oh, no, that's okay. I put processes in place and rolled out some different platforms that would create efficiencies and help the team members on site. So as simple as it was probably about 4 or 5 different platforms that we built since I've been there. And recently I noticed.
And you recently gave your notice.
Yes, I recently resigned.
Why?
And because I'm
Why?
going out on my own. I have started doing the asset management on my own, and have invested into a property management company as well. And so it's me going out and saying, that's it, I'm stepping out. This has been in my heart for a very long time. And it's just
So, because I know that the feedback is a bit of an issue, I'm just going to repeat. If I understood you correctly, you have resigned so that you can go into your own management company. So you're going to build your own management company and your own team and do what you've been doing for others for how many years? A long time. And you're going to do it for yourself.
Almost 30 years, yeah.
Wow. And then you said you also are investing in a management company. Does that mean that there's a company that is
So-
separate from the one you're going to start?
I'm doing the asset management
Asset management.
on, like, that's what I've started doing is asset management. So I'm going to be the one that is overseeing the property management groups
Property management groups
that are hired to third
that
party
are hired to
properties and manage these properties. So I'm going to be overseeing somebody like me.
Gotcha. Well, that makes good sense. It would make the next step, right?
Right.
Because you've managed so many properties. Now you're stepping up above that. You're doing the entire asset management and including the third party property managements.
Right.
Is that right?
That is correct.
Good.
That is correct.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah.
I
I'm
love
really
it.
excited.
I love it.
I'm really excited.
And then
You should be. You should be.
And then
I am, and I really, my
really
goal is to vertically integrate as I continue buying assets. I'm going to hit 10,000 units.
Hit 10,000.
I don't know, like, and I'm going to tell
Did
you.
you say, wait. Did you say 10,000 units?
I did. This is a number that's been in my heart for a very long time, and I don't, again, don't know where the number came from. I know that I've got the 10,000 goal, so now I'm devising a plan on how to get there every year, how to get there and make it happen. So, yeah.
I love it. So 10,000 assets, is that what you would call them?
10,000 units. It could be, you know,
Units.
Could be,
Got it.
50 assets, 200 assets, but 10,000 units.
10,000
10,000 doors.
Okay, I'm yeah, I gotcha. I just think that's freaking awesome. And there it is on the internet.
All right.
Going to be on the internet. And when you get to that point, I want you to call me back and say, Effie, it's time for me to come back on your show.
I will. Every year we're going to make, every year it's going to be a stepping stone to that number.
That is so fantastic. So there's a little bit of explanation I need because I know that you are overseeing your asset management. You're overseeing the actual property managers. Is that for you, for that company that you invested in? Or is that for what you're building?
So it's kind of like right now I have my W-2. So I have a full-time job where I oversee 3,000 units. It's almost 3,000 units throughout Texas, Florida, and Oklahoma. So that is for Marquee. And I'm so blessed to have kind of owner that I have worked for the past 5.5 years because he and my team there, phenomenal team that I have allowed me the opportunity to step out on my own these past couple of years to start working on my own. And so it really is a blessing that not a lot of people get the opportunity to take on, and I'm so grateful for him and for my team members. You know, it's because of their support that I've been able to really get to this next step. I recently purchased or was a partner in the purchase of 133 units here in Arlington, Texas. So
133 units where?
in Arlington, Texas.
Where did Arlington? Sorry, it was a little echoey. Awesome. Well, I don't know marquee management, but I think they're smart because for you to be able to build the kind of teams that you have built over and over and over again and put in processes and efficiencies and technology to make everything so much better for everyone is truly an incredible skill. So now that you have done that and you've proven yourself, instead of just, hasta la vista, or no, you can't do that. We're paying you too much. You got to stay here. For them to want for you to go, fly, step out. and still appreciate you for who you are and what you have done. That's
Yeah.
awesome. That's
I,
awesome.
it is truly a blessing that I have had to be able to do that. And, I'm really grateful for it because not many owners would need that opportunity.
Yeah. But I think it does mean show a lot about your relationship and the value that you have. So when you are, you just JV'd, you said, for 133 units. That's not with Marquee, or is that?
No, it's not.
No, it's not.
I actually JV'd. My initial one was a JV in San Antonio for 16 units. And those my partners there were wonderful. They're out of state, and they found this deal, and so we partnered on that deal. And then this deal here was a syndication, so it was with my syndication team.
So the one in Arlington, the 133, is a syndication?
Yes.
Wow. Had you done syndications before?
No, this is my first one.
Why does that not surprise me, girl? I think that's freaking awesome. I think that's wonderful.
Yeah, it was good.
Talk to me.
I'm with some amazing partners who really have, we have an asset management team and we have a GP team, and it really speaks volumes when you have different people who can bring different strengths. So it really has been pretty seamless in comparison to some of the stories I hear out there. So it's really important when they say to know your partners. It's really important to know them. I actually have been consulting for this group for the past year, and I joined them on this last deal. So we've got more deals coming, that are in the pipeline. So I'm really excited because it's on that path to that 10,000 units.
That's awesome. If you've been consulting with them, they know what they're getting already.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
It's not like they're trying to figure it all out, and it's a higher risk. It's much lower risk, and they already know who you are. So then I think that is incredible. The syndication and the partners, are they from all over, or are they from Texas? Talk to us
Texas.
about, what does that look?
Texas.
Yeah.
Okay.
They're from Texas.
Okay.
Yeah.
Awesome. Awesome. And now that is really, really fantastic. And you're going to obviously keep going on this, and I know you're going to succeed, and I can just imagine you calling me back before I'm expecting it. And they'll be
well, and that's where the vertical
now I have a
integration
double
will come in for the property management company that I am a partner in. So it's taking care of the assets that I have ownership in.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Very, very nice.
Yeah.
And are you in those 133 units and the 16 units? Are they in any particular grouping? Are they like senior or?
No, the one that is in Arlington is 133 C value add. It's and the one in San Antonio, the 16 units. It's like it's a combination of probably 2B building, 3B buildings, and one fourplex that is all part of the same deed. So yeah.
And did you say the 133 are C?
It's a
value add?
Yeah. So, and then the partners in that deal already have 2,000 units under their plans. So this is in addition.
Nice.
To a combination of 2,000 units. Yeah, this is in addition to what they already have. So
They're so lucky to have you. I think that's fantastic.
We are really do balance each other out with our different strengths.
That's awesome. That's awesome. And when when you're working under the syndication, do you have to hire people to work with you, or is it like actually working with everybody that's in that syndication?
We work as a team. So yeah, in
Okay.
our asset
Okay.
management group, there's a few of us that we're a core group, and so like I handle all the property management, asset management, and we have another person that handles the construction, and another person that handles the other piece of it. So it is everybody's
Got
got
it.
a
So
team.
everyone's in the team. Okay. Super. Super. Now, I had met you in Gator. Are you doing anything with lending or Gator?
No, not yet. I have once. No, I decided probably about 6 months ago that I needed to focus on where I could make the biggest impact. And so I had to slow down on my Gator training. I went through and set up some LLCs and started doing the prime credit stuff, and it's just you have to make a decision on when you make the biggest impact, where you make the biggest impact, balance that out, and I didn't want to put my hands into everything and do nothing.
I understand.
So
And you've had this decades of experience that are leading you to one, like, hey, that muscle's real big. You might as opposed to going to the other one and just starting off. So I completely get it, and I think it is absolutely fantastic, just incredible. Have you thought about businesses or anything like that?
I was looking at a laundromat and a car wash. I think got a couple of people that I reached out to and said, you got, especially any of them that are in the multifamily industry that I put my hands into, but I haven't really. I have a responsibility to my W-2 until I'm no longer there.
Yep.
And so
Yep.
once I step out of that role, then I'll have the ability to go do more things. And I work on I do have some contracts that I'm also working on through my asset management side. So
Nice.
I've got 3 contracts right now that I'm working, and I have to make, aside from the property that that we just purchased. So I've got to take care of the asset management there as well.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Now, I do always try to make sure I let people know how they can reach you. And I know that on Facebook, you use Cecilia Castillo Cossio. Which was
Yes.
your maiden name?
Castillo.
What was the maiden name? Okay, Castillo. Castillo. Is Castillo Italiano?
It's no. I mean, I according to my ancestry.com thing, there's some European stuff in my blood, but yeah.
Okay. And then at other times you deal, because that is kind of long. You just use Cecilia Cossio.
Yeah, Cecilia Cossio. I am Cecilia Cossio on Instagram, and my website is ceciliacossio.com.
Cecilia, okay. All right, let's get that up there too. Okay, so it is, I didn't check that. My apologies. Cecilia
That's all right.
Cossio, all one word, no dot, or does it have a dot?
This is ceciliacossio.com.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good. So if any of you are out there and are looking for asset management or third party property management, or maybe you
I
aren't big
do.
enough for that, but you need a consultant
Right.
to help you grow or something of that sort. Um, there's Cecilia's website and her IG. Now, you're not on YouTube yet, right?
Not on YouTube yet. I will be.
Not on YouTube yet. I will be.
Okay, that's fine. That's fine. Trust me, it takes a lot of time. But anyway, so do reach out to her. And oh, I'm getting better at this. Please, I would appreciate it if you could click subscribe and like. And we are on live, so you actually can't do that right now, but it'll be posted on YouTube. Actually, it's live on Facebook and on YouTube. So please do subscribe and click like and make some comments. And you don't need to focus too much on the fact that we had some feedback. We know. I'm just not sure. I'm not good enough to be able to troubleshoot it technically. I'm not sure. I know that if it happens on my end, what I can do here, but not if it happens on the other end.
I was
So we
looking
know
at this and I couldn't figure it out. Like I was trying to push some of these buttons and I don't see how it occurred, but
that.
it is what it is, right? We just make the
Yeah.
best of it.
Right? We just make the best of it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I am super, super grateful to having you here. And thank you to our guests for being here. If you have anything, I know a lot of people are going to the squat up this week and that many people are in air. I get it. So I hope that they'll come and watch this after squat up because that's a pretty busy time. But I want to say thank you very, very, very much. And I'm always wondering, is it possible for me to work with this person? And I adore you. I adore you. I think you're
Thank you.
fantastic.
Likewise.
It's just you're so far ahead of me. I have no clue other than just to help you. If you ever see any way, let me know because
Well,
I
I am only a phone call away, and you know what? I will help however I can. I think that's part of our responsibility is to help others. So call me if you ever need anything, and I'd be happy to help you
I'm
however.
happy to help you out.
thank you. Thank you. All right, everyone. We're going to say goodbye. We're at time and we shall see you next week. Have a
Bye,
good one.
everyone.